Have you ever stopped in the middle of an ordinary day and felt something inexplicable? A shift in the air, a sudden warmth in your chest, or perhaps a fragrance that shouldn't be there? These moments are not accidents. They are doorways into a truth that most people sense, but few dare to explore. The spiritual world is not somewhere far away. It exists right here, woven into the fabric of your everyday reality. Edgar made one of the most profound observations in modern spiritual history when he described the nature of existence between dimensions. He explained that what we perceive as separate realms, the physical and the spiritual, are actually interpenetrating realities. Think of it like radio waves passing through your body right now. You cannot see them, but they are there, carrying information, energy, and connection. The spiritual dimension operates on a similar principle, vibrating at frequencies beyond the reach of our physical senses, yet constantly present. When you feel a presence, what is actually happening? Your consciousness is briefly aligning with a different vibrational state. This alignment allows you to perceive what has always been there, but remains invisible to ordinary awareness. The physical body is designed to interact with dense matter, to touch and taste and see solid objects. But consciousness itself is not bound by these limitations. It can reach beyond the veil when conditions are right. Consider the moments when this happens most often. You might be in a quiet space, thinking about someone you have lost, and suddenly you feel them near. Or you wake from sleep with an overwhelming sense that you are not alone. These are not fantasies or wishful thinking. They are genuine encounters with a reality that exists parallel to this one. The spiritual realm is not up there or out there. It is here, occupying the same space you occupy, but operating on a different frequency of existence. Edgar taught that this interpenetration is constant and complete. Every room you enter, every street you walk, every moment you breathe, the spiritual dimension is present. The barrier between worlds is not a wall, but a veil, and that veil is made of perception, not distance. When your perception shifts, even slightly, you can sense what lies beyond the purely physical. The phenomena people report, sudden chills, unexplained warmth, familiar sense with no source, these are not supernatural in the sense of being outside nature. They are perfectly natural expressions of a broader reality. A chill might be the subtle impact of spiritual energy intersecting with your auric field. A familiar perfume could be a signature vibration, a way for consciousness to announce itself in a form you can recognize. These signs are the language of presence, spoken in sensation rather than words. What makes this discovery so mysterious is its simplicity. We have been taught to think of death as an ending, a departure to some distant heaven or an extinction of being. But Edgar revealed something more elegant and truthful. Those who have passed remain in proximity to us, existing in a state that is adjacent rather than absent. They have not gone away. They have shifted frequency. And just as you cannot see radio waves but can tune a receiver to hear them, you can tune your awareness to sense the presence of those in spirit. This understanding changes everything. It means that the love you feel, the connection you cherish, the bond you thought was broken, none of it has ended. It has transformed. The relationship continues, but now it requires you to develop a new kind of perception. You must learn to sense rather than see, to feel rather than touch, to know rather than prove. The veil between worlds is thin, far thinner than you imagine. In moments of deep emotion, profound stillness, or intense longing, it becomes almost transparent. This is why people often sense their loved ones most strongly during times of grief or significant life changes. The veil responds to the intensity of your consciousness. When you call out with your heart, when you open yourself to connection, the spiritual realm draws near. Do you feel his presence now? Not with your hands or eyes, but with that deeper sense that knows without needing proof. That is the veil becoming transparent. That is your consciousness reaching through the frequency barrier and touching the eternal. This is not metaphor. This is the actual mechanism by which spirit communicates with matter, how love transcends the appearance of separation. What do you imagine happens after the body falls away? Most people picture either endless rest or some vague heavenly existence where souls float in peaceful detachment. But the truth revealed through deep spiritual insight is far more dynamic, purposeful, and beautiful than these simplistic images suggest. Those who have crossed over are not idle. They are not waiting. They are actively engaged in a continuation of existence that is rich with meaning, growth, and service. The spiritual dimension is not a place of stagnation. It is a realm of perpetual evolution. When consciousness leaves the physical body, it does not stop learning or developing. In fact, the process accelerates. Without the limitations of dense matter, without the distractions of physical survival, the soul can focus entirely on understanding the lessons of the life just lived. Every choice made, every relationship formed, every moment of love or fear, all of it becomes material for profound study and integration. Think of it as the most comprehensive life review imaginable. But this review is not conducted by an external judge. The soul itself, with perfect clarity and honesty, examines its earthly experience. It sees the ripples of every action, understands the true motivations behind every decision, and recognizes the patterns that shaped its journey. This process is not about punishment or reward. It is about growth, about the soul expanding its awareness and preparing for its next phase of existence. But here is what most people do not understand. While spirits are engaged in this deep inner work, they remain profoundly connected to those still in physical form. The bonds of love do not dissolve at death. They transform into something more refined, more essential. A mother who has passed continues to hold space for her children. A friend who has crossed over still carries the connection forged through shared experience. These relationships continue, but they now operate through different channels. Spirits serve the living in ways that are subtle yet powerful. They become sources of inspiration, whispering guidance through intuition. They send strength during moments of despair, appearing as sudden courage or unexpected peace. They work through synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be random. When you think of a departed loved one and immediately encounter something that reminds you of them, this is not your imagination creating patterns. This is active communication from a dimension where thought and manifestation are intimately linked. The spiritual realm operates on principles that seem foreign to physical logic. Time as we experience it does not exist there in the same linear fashion. The past, present, and future are accessible simultaneously. This is why spirits sometimes appear to know things before they happen in our timeline. They perceive from a vantage point that includes dimensions of time we cannot yet grasp. They see the trajectory of your life path with greater clarity than you can from within the midst of living it. Love is the primary currency of the spiritual dimension. Every thought of love you direct towards someone who has passed reaches them as tangible energy. This is not poetry or metaphor. It is the actual mechanism of interdimensional connection. When you think of them with affection, when you speak their name with tenderness, when you honor their memory with gratitude, you are literally sending light into their realm. They receive this as nourishment, as validation, as a continued affirmation of the bond that death cannot break. Similarly, the love they hold for you continues to flow in your direction. It manifests as protection you cannot see, as guidance that comes through hunches and gut feelings, as comfort that arrives in your darkest moments from no identifiable source. You may attribute it to your own resilience or random chance, but often it is the direct intervention of those who love you from beyond the veil. They cannot control your life or make your choices, but they can influence your energy field, strengthen your resolve, and illuminate your path. The now of the spiritual dimension is not a frozen moment. It is a living, breathing continuum of consciousness in constant motion. Spirits continue to evolve, to learn, to refine their understanding. They participate in the cosmic unfolding, contributing their unique perspective and energy to the greater whole. They are not separate from the universal consciousness, but are active threads in its infinite tapestry. This understanding transforms grief. When you realize that your loved ones are not gone, but are engaged in meaningful existence, that they remain connected to you through bonds that transcend physical form. The sharp edge of loss begins to soften. You are not mourning an ending, but adjusting to a new form of relationship. They have not left you behind. They have simply moved into a different room in the infinite mansion of existence, and the doors between rooms are not locked. Do you sense this continuity? Can you feel the living presence of those who seem to have departed? They are studying, serving, loving, and growing, and you remain part of their journey as they remain part of yours. The spiritual realm is not static or distant. It is alive, active, and intimately woven into your present experience. How do you know when someone from the spiritual realm is reaching out to you? The signs are rarely dramatic or obvious. They do not arrive with thunder and lightning. Instead, they come wrapped in the ordinary, disguised as coincidence, speaking through the subtle language of synchronicity and sensation. Learning to recognize this language is one of the most profound spiritual skills you can develop, because it opens a direct channel of communication between dimensions. A song plays on the radio at the exact moment you are thinking of someone who has passed. You find an object you had forgotten, placed exactly where you need to see it. A bird appears at your window during a moment of deep sadness, staying just long enough to catch your attention. A dream arrives with such clarity and emotional weight that you wake knowing it was more than imagination. These are not random events. They are carefully orchestrated messages, delivered through the only means available to consciousness operating without physical form. The spiritual dimension communicates through the path of least resistance. Since spirits cannot manipulate dense matter easily, they work through energy, through thought, through the malleable fabric of probability and attention. They influence what catches your eye, what comes to mind, what crosses your path at precisely the right moment. This requires tremendous skill and effort on their part, because they must work within the laws that govern the interaction between dimensions. When you feel sudden warmth in your chest for no physical reason, this is often the energetic signature of spiritual presence. The heart center is the primary receptor for interdimensional communication. It is where love resonates most strongly, and love is the carrier wave for all spiritual contact. That inexplicable feeling of being embraced when you are alone, that sense of comfort that arrives from nowhere during grief, these are not self-generated emotions. They are transmissions of energy from those who continue to care for you from beyond the physical. The key to receiving these communications is openness. Fear blocks the signal. Skepticism creates static. But when you approach these experiences with gentle receptivity, with a willingness to perceive without demanding proof, the veil becomes transparent. You begin to notice patterns you previously missed. You recognize the signature presence of specific individuals through the unique quality of the sensation they bring. Some arrive with warmth, others with a particular fragrance, others with a distinct emotional tone that identifies them as clearly as their voice once did. This is what spiritual teachers call vibrational awareness. Every consciousness has a unique frequency, a signature vibration that persists beyond physical death. When you knew someone in life, you became attuned to their frequency. After death, that attunement remains. Your heart and energy field remember the resonance of their presence. When they draw near in spirit, your system recognizes them, even if your conscious mind struggles to accept or explain what you are sensing. But here is the deepest truth, the discovery that transforms everything. Death does not end relationships. It cannot. Relationships are connections between consciousnesses, and consciousness is eternal. The form changes, the method of interaction shifts, but the essential bond remains intact. The love you shared, the understanding you built, the connection you forged, all of it continues, evolving into something more refined and profound than its physical expression. This revelation dissolves the fear that haunts humanity. We are terrified of permanent separation, of losing forever those we cherish. But permanent separation is impossible. Consciousness cannot be destroyed, and the connections between consciousnesses are written into the fundamental structure of reality. You are never truly separated from those you love. You are only experiencing different forms of connection, different modalities of relationship. When you open yourself to this truth, everything changes. Grief transforms from unbearable loss into bittersweet transition. You stop mourning an ending and start learning a new way of relating. You become attentive to the subtle signs, grateful for the quiet visitations, comforted by the knowing that love transcends all boundaries. The person you miss is not gone. They are present in a different way, accessible through a different kind of perception. This is the great mystery revealed. The universe is not a cold, mechanical place where consciousness briefly flickers and then extinguishes. It is an infinite web of living connections, where every soul that has ever existed remains woven into the fabric of being. Your loved ones are part of this eternal tapestry. They exist now, in this moment, engaged in their own journey while remaining intimately connected to yours. The spiritual realm is not somewhere else. It is here, surrounding you, interpenetrating your reality, pulsing with the presence of countless consciousnesses who continue their evolution. When you feel that sudden sense of not being alone, trust it. When you receive a sign that seems too perfect to be coincidence, honor it. When your heart swells with unexplained warmth, recognize it for what it is. Love reaching across dimensions, proving that nothing can truly separate what is meant to remain connected. Do you feel his presence now? Not as memory, but as living reality. That is because he is present. Not in the past, not in some distant realm, but here, now, in the eternal moment where all consciousness dwells. The veil is thin. The love is real. The connection is unbreakable. This is the truth that sets you free from the fear of death and opens you to the infinite nature of existence. You are never alone. You have never been alone, and you never will be. If this message touched your heart and opened your awareness to the eternal presence around you, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you never miss these profound spiritual insights. Share your own experiences in the comments below. Have you felt a presence, received a sign? Your story might be the confirmation someone else desperately needs to hear. We are all connected in this journey beyond the veil. Let's walk it together.